In the early 20th century, New York City's Harlem neighborhood transformed into the epicenter of a cultural, social, and artistic explosion that came to be known as the Harlem Renaissance. This vibrant period, spanning from the 1920s to the mid-1930s, was a time of profound change and innovation, profoundly influencing American culture and shaping the course of African American history. Emerging from the aftermath of World War I and the Great Migration, during which millions of African Americans moved from the rural South to urban centers in the North, Harlem became a haven for artists, writers, musicians, and intellectuals who sought to redefine their identity and assert their place in a society that had long marginalized them. As African Americans settled into Harlem, they began to forge a new cultural identity that embraced their heritage while pushing the boundaries of traditional forms. The era was marked by an explosion of creative expression in literature, music, theater, and visual arts. Langston Hughes, one of the most prominent figures of the Harlem Renaissance, captured the essence of the movement with his poetry and essays that celebrated Black life and culture. His work, along with that of other literary giants like Zora Neale Hurston and Claude McKay, explored themes of racial pride, social justice, and the complexities of African American life. These writers drew on their own experiences and those of their communities, creating a rich tapestry of stories that challenged prevailing stereotypes and asserted the value and dignity of Black life. In the realm of music, the Harlem Renaissance gave rise to jazz, a genre that would become a defining feature of American culture. Artists like Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and Bessie Smith brought jazz to the forefront of the music world, their innovative sounds captivating audiences and influencing the direction of music worldwide. The Cotton Club and the Apollo Theater became iconic venues where these musicians performed, creating a lively cultural scene that attracted both Black and white audiences. This blending of musical styles and the celebration of African American rhythms and melodies helped to reshape perceptions of Black culture and showcased its profound impact on the broader cultural landscape. The Harlem Renaissance was not only a time of artistic flourishing, but also a period of significant social and political activism. Figures such as Webb Du Bois and Marcus Garvey played pivotal roles in advocating for civil rights and Black empowerment. Du Bois's intellectual leadership and his call for the talented tenth of the African American community to lead the fight for equality resonated throughout the movement, while Garvey's advocacy for Black nationalism and self-determination inspired many. This activism was integral in laying the groundwork for future civil rights movements and provided a voice for the aspirations and grievances of African Americans. The Harlem Renaissance also brought about notable changes in fashion. Black men began wearing zoot suits, characterized by their long coats with padded shoulders and wide lapels, while women adopted low-slung dresses, silk stockings, and open-toed slippers. Both men and women sported wide-brimmed hats, and leopard skin items gained popularity as a nod to traditional African attire. This shift in fashion reflected a broader cultural renaissance, signaling a new era of self-expression and pride. Despite the vibrancy and achievements of the Harlem Renaissance, it was not without its challenges. The Great Depression of the 1930s brought economic hardships that impacted many artists and diminished the movement's momentum. Yet, the legacy of the Harlem Renaissance endures, having laid a foundation for future generations of African American artists and activists. Its influence can be seen in the subsequent civil rights movement and the continued evolution of African American culture. The Harlem Renaissance remains a powerful testament to the resilience and creativity of African Americans in the face of adversity. It was a time when the arts became a vehicle for social change, and Harlem became a symbol of hope and possibility. Through the collective efforts of its artists, writers, musicians, and activists, the Harlem Renaissance not only enriched American culture, but also redefined the African American experience. It's a reminder that the contributions of Black Americans are not just part of history, they are the heartbeat of America's story.